Yeah. Get high rapper. Man hour. You already know. It's live. It's raw. It's going down. Like this. I'm going around and letting everybody know that they welcome to the show. It's the latest thing you ever seen, you already know. Let me introduce you to your host of the hour. It be Mike and Mike. Yeah, it's the man hour. Got the hottest plays, all the breaking news. Every rumor, every trade, every breaking bruise. Tighten knuckle screws. Yeah, it's going down. Have you saying what the fuck and never watered down. It's going down. I'll be rolling up. And if you buy it or you sell it, then you made the cut. Watch me flip it back. I can double up. I got sriracha for that ass, I'ma burn it up. Gotta check the rules, but know that it be fair and foul. Rep blow the whistle, coach throw the towel. We can do this on the field, on side the lines. It's the man hour though, now we going live.
And what is up, guys? Michael Buckhatcher here with the Mike and Mike Man Hour, live, raw, uncut sports talk on this Wednesday edition. Hump Day edition, and we were going to have Brandon Coombs on apparently, but he lost the link to the thing. But so guys, head over to mikeandmikemanhour.com, pick yourself off a nice little hat, a t-shirt, or a hoodie. We got donations over there as well. If you watch us on the YouTube channel, head over to youtube.com/ the forward slash is the one with the question mark on it. Mike and Mike Man Hour. That is where we're at 100%. As always, we're going to welcome in Coach Tip into the stream. Coach, what's going on today?
What's up? What it is, man. Lot to talk about today.
There is a lot to talk about today, and there is a lot of happenings and whatnot as well. Let me go ahead and copy this link and get it over to somebody that wanted to come on today, Brandon Coombs from Triple Shot Sports, and he is just, there he is. I see somebody pop in a little late here, and boom.
Hey, he was ducking the White Sox question. That's what he was doing.
See, what
and the Cubs
question was, I'm at work getting paid to do this shit.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, brother. Nothing wrong with that.
See what had happened is he was upset because the Royals have not allowed a postseason run this season, and the Cubs got beat. So.
Hey, we won as many games in the postseason this year as the Royals, man.
Hey, but we didn't give up any runs, though, so we're winning there.
No, that's true.
So guys, as always, we got Coach Tip on. We got Brandon Coombs from Triple Shot Sports. Before we get too carried away, Coombs, tell us a little bit about your Triple Shot Sports.
Thank you.
So, Triple Shot Sports, we are on every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday on the All Access Sports Network. You can catch us from 7 p.m. Central to 9 p.m. Central, or 8 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Eastern. Pacific time, you can figure that out yourself. But at any rate, you catch us every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then you can catch the show if you miss any part of it. Catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well. So, we are, last night was a great show. We had the boys from Twist on, and I yelled at Benzie about his power rankings. And so it was a good time. We always have a good time when them boys are on.
Yeah, before we get to our What the segments of the day here, Coach Tip, you were not on the other day, and we had Benzie's power rankings on here, and let's just roll through them real quick, just so we can get your first reactions. Okay. At number 10, he had the Cleveland Browns. What?
The Browns deserve to be there.
Do they?
They do.
Who had to beat?
I don't know if they deserve to be there this week. Now, if they win this upcoming week, who do they play this week? Is it the Steelers?
The Colts.
The Colts. If they beat the Colts, where do they play at? Because I haven't seen the schedule.
I believe it's at Indy.
They dominated Dallas for 3.
Oh, they dominate. Yeah, they dominate. But if they beat the Colts, then I say they're in the top 7.
They were up by 27 heading into the fourth quarter.
Coombs, did you not watch the first quarter? The Cowboys were up 14-7. Dominating that game, and then they had one fumble and the wheels fell off.
The Browns actually absolutely belong in the top 10 right now.
You are absolutely ridiculous with that with that comment.
Number 9 does not belong there. The Rams.
Number 9, the LA Rams. He does have in there. They squeaked past the Giants. 17-9, I believe the final score.
I think that was a trap game for them. I think the Rams are better than what they played against the Giants.
No,
I think the Giants are going to be a trap.
That's what the Rams are every year. They're a team that starts out hot and then finishes 7-9, 9-7, 8-8.
That's true. That's true.
Unless they make it to the Super Bowl, right? And then because of a bad call or whatever.
Yeah. I think the Giants may be a trap. There's not just the Giants. There's a couple teams that are just trap games for, kind of take off games. Hey, we can lay back a little bit.
Honestly, yes.
Trash. You mispronounced trash. It's
trash. Okay.
So,
fair enough.
So guys, if you like mine and Coombs interaction, guys, wait till the man hour after dark, starting next Monday, 10 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel and on Triple Shot Sports YouTube channel as well. We're going to get really into it because I'm telling you right now, the Giants are by far the best 0-4 team out there, 100%, and they could make a run for 7 wins this season still. They are going to learn how to play without Saquon, Sam, what do you guys call him? Danny Dimes. He is going to figure it out, and the Giants are going to be just fine. They can win this division still. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand that?
Could win this division.
Yeah, right. With our kids, man, we'd be great in this division.
Have you seen Riverbuck?
How are you 1-2-1 and leading a division?
We had this argument last night. I think the Redskins are very much alive in this division. If you look at the schedules, I think that the Redskins could actually win this division at 6-10.
Yeah, and which you are 100% correct because they did just sit Dwayne Haskins, which was probably the best move they've ever made because I told you guys that the Redskins are a quarterback away. Do I think Kyle Allen is the answer in Washington? Probably not. But they do have Alex Smith still there, which probably.
If Alex Smith comes in with that leg, I will not watch a game because I do not want to see what happens. If
you will know what will happen.
Did you see have you all seen the documentary on E60 about that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man! Wow.
I just don't want to see it happen. I like Alex Smith a lot. I think he was a great quarterback.
He has a titanium rod. It's going to bend. That's it.
I think it's time for him to just give it up. It's hard to give up the love of the game, but at some point you have to think about your future. You've been in the league long enough.
I know how this ends.
You guys do not understand. If Alex Smith is the starting quarterback for the Washington football team, they are a playoff team. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not going to say you're wrong because I think they're a playoff team now. I think that they are going to, and I think it said we had this conversation on our show last night. Should a 6-10 team that wins the division even be allowed in the playoffs, or should the NFL just go to a top 8 in the league? Because you're going to have a 6-10 Washington Redskins or Dallas Cowboys or whoever wins that division, whether they're 6-10 or 7-9, hosting a team that's probably going to be 10-6 or 11-5.
Well, I mean, it has happened in years past too. The Seattle Seahawks, their first year in the playoffs, so 2008 or 2009, they were a 7-9 or 6-10 team going into the playoffs, winning that awful division. They hosted the Saints and they beat the Saints in the first round, which I believe the Saints were 13-3 that season.
Still gross though. Just because it's happened before doesn't mean that it should keep happening. The NFL absolutely needs to change. If anything, if you're going to let them in just because they won their division at whatever record they win their division at, they should not be allowed to host a playoff game while a team that was 11-5 or 12-4 has to go there to play.
That is not their fault that they had a weaker division this particular season.
Well, the divisions, I think they need to be revamped anyway. You look at the year that Jimmy G, what did they go, 11-5? The Pats did, and just so happened my Dolphins caught fire that year and won the AFC East. And it's like you knew the Dolphins weren't going anywhere in the first round. So, they had a worse record, huh?
I'm still amazed that you claim the Dolphins.
Listen, man,
playoff down next year.
That out loud.
Hey, man, it is what it is, buddy. We've had some good days. And you know what? Hey, they're up and coming. They're making moves. Devontae Parker looks like he might be doing. He's become the number one target, and you got to get Tua a chance. Give him a chance. I think he's a Russell Wilson type quarterback, and you're missing some pieces.
I do believe in
your defense, but
I believe in Tua.
I do too. I don't think he's going to play this year, though. I really don't, unless Fitz just gets hot.
As soon as they're mathematically eliminated, he'll be in there.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. That's
Yeah,
fair enough.
which that
I
is
agree
one
with
of my
that.
what does moving forward, and then
Mhm.
at number 8 he had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, I guess you really can't argue the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being up there. Kind of is.
I think
Kinda
they
is
should
what
be
it is.
higher.
Yeah.
You're absolutely wrong. Going to be
I
first
think they
round
should be
playoff
higher.
loss.
Yeah, they should
And
be
then-
top 5 in my book.
And then
I
speaking
think
of
the
higher,
Bucks are ahead of the Ravens. That's just my opinion.
the New Orleans Saints.
I don't know what you look. I told him last night on his show. I made a plea to his new bride to lock the liquor cabinet during breakfast time because he's absolutely putting it in his Cheerios when he's making these lists. The Saints do not. First of all, they don't belong above the Buccaneers. They don't belong. They don't even belong above the. You got the Tennessee Titans not in his list. Okay, the Tennessee Titans are
Trash.
still undefeated. Look, the Saints just are not there
They
right
should
now.
be. They should be top 10 though. The Titans. I think they should be top 10 team in the league. They are
I
undefeated.
don't think so.
They're only undefeated because they only played 3
The
games.
thing
so
is,
far.
this is a week by week
Yeah, they're
power
undefeated,
ranking,
though.
and I think week by week power ranking to hold out a Tennessee Titans team who was 1 game away from representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, and they're still undefeated at this point. I just don't understand how you have a 2-2 team ahead of them.
because the 2-2 team beat a 3-1 Buccaneers team that's in the top 10. They beat the best team in the NFC North. I don't care what their record says.
It was
the
also
Detroit
the
Lions
first
are the
game
best
of the
record in the
season.
NFC North.
It was also the first game.
You're out of your
So-
mind. Stop, Buck, with the.
Yeah, I think he puts.
North.
I think he's looking at the Saints as a future. Remember the first time I was on the show and you asked me about what I think about his rankings, and I said, okay, if you're looking at them on paper, they should be where they're at or higher. But if you're looking at the way they're playing now, they probably deserve to be lower. And I feel like that's what he's doing with the Saints because, let's face it, when you get Michael Thomas back, I truly believe Drew Brees' game picks up. I really do. And then you still got the rest
Drew
of your
Brees'
players.
game has never dropped off. The rest of the team has.
He doesn't have a number 1 to go to like Brady does. And I really believe by the end of the season, the Saints they're a playoff team all day. Whether they're a wild card or whether they win the division.
A power ranking is week by week. So
week.
Right now, the Saints are not the top 7 team in the NFL. They might be at the end of the season.
They may be
now.
It may be a week to week ranking, but you're still in the back of your mind when you're ranking these. You still, I believe I know I would. I'd still be taking a lot of this stuff. If I can't think of the word, but just like you said Tennessee was an undefeated team. They were 1 game away from going. So you're looking back on that one, but then you're saying that we shouldn't count that. It should be a week to week. So if you're week to week, then Tennessee probably should not be in it. But if you're counting the way you're counting it on paper and what they've done, okay, now they should be in it. So it's okay. How are you counting it? You can't have a forked tongue and have it both ways. You either have to count them for what they did.
You're talking about right now.
You're
You're not talking about the future. You're not talking about what's going to happen. You're talking about right now. And right now, the Tennessee Titans are undefeated, and the New Orleans Saints are 2-2.
I totally agree with that. But you brought up last year the game away from the Super Bowl.
Right.
You used that as a measuring stick.
You did.
So if you can use that as a measuring stick, how come I can't use what's on paper as a measuring stick?
Because this is what's current and not what's
okay.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so you're telling me a New Orleans Saints right now who do not have a Michael Thomas and do not have a Jared Cook and have looked completely weak in the offensive game, minus going up against the Lions, who have one of the worst defenses in the league right now. I don't care what you say, Buck Heister. They are the 4th best team in the NFC North, and they're not. Like you're going to put a Saints team above a Tennessee Titans team who has looked really good through their first 3 games. I just don't see it. I don't like it.
I agree with that point. I do see that point, and but I also say he's looking back, or he's looking on paper, he's looking into the future to rank these, and I think all of us would do that to an extent. If you go strictly week to week, then you almost can't count any losing teams for the week. You almost have to put them in order as the way they played. So in that reality, I know he's got. I don't remember where they're at, but he's got the Pats in there. Well, the Pats got smashed. Let's just face it. They got beat even on a good game that they played and a good game plan. They still got smashed.
They got smashed with their backup quarterback against the best team in the world.
That's fine.
Third string quarterback too,
but
right?
if you're doing week to week, you got to rank them fairly, and you got to say, okay, they don't belong in the top 10. That's just my point there.
So mean, this is the way that I see power rankings. Like, I don't care about rankings or whatsoever, win loss in general. I think of the teams that can beat the other teams in the NFL. Are there 28 teams or 24 teams in the NFL right now that the Saints can beat after this week? Absolutely, yes. They are perfect right where they're at. They are fine. They're moving forward.
That's how Colin Howard does it.
Right.
Or Herb, or whatever his name is.
Now, if this is a truly week by week power ranking system, you can't have the Tennessee Titans in there because they didn't play a game. So get them out of there. Number 6, he had the Seattle Seahawks. This was way too low.
Way too
100% way too
Agree.
low.
Oh, I agree.
They're the second best team in the NFC right now. Their defense is horrible. So
wait, did you say the second best team in the NFC?
Yeah.
Are they behind the Packers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Seahawks they're behind the Packers. Their defense has been awful, but their offense is really good, and that defense is going to figure it out eventually. That defense is too talented to not figure it out, and so, but I would still have them. We were talking about this last night. I think that you could have. I believe it was his number. I would flip flop them with the Ravens. I think they're better than the Ravens right now.
I agree.
I
absolutely agree.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at number 5, he had the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were at number 3 last week, and they dropped down to number 5 by not playing a game. I'm not for sure how you can do that. I mean, if this is truly power rankings from week to week, they shouldn't even be in the top 10. But it is what it is. I mean, Steelers at 5. I mean, they're a good team right now. I'm comfortable with them being at 5. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not.
You're not.
I would
I
would put the Titans there before I put the Steelers.
Really?
Where'd you put the Steelers?
I don't even know that the Steelers are in the top 10 right now. In just on my list. I'm not saying they're not a good team.
So you have a undefeated team not in the top 10.
Hear me out. I'm not saying they're not formidable. I'm not saying they're not a playoff team. I'm just saying that they haven't really played anybody this year as of yet. All 3 teams have been losing teams. I think they've had 2 home games, and they're really not playing anybody. So let's wait. Okay, if the Steelers and Titans matched up on a neutral field,
Steelers.
Steelers.
See, I take the Titans. I think the Titans.
I said this to Benzie last night, and I'm going to make this plea. Mrs. Coach Tip, please lock the liquor cabinet before breakfast because he's sneaking it into his Cheerios.
I think if they all play, I think if they both play their A games.
I mean, James Conner is going off. Ben is back. That offense looks back to form. The defense is better than the Titans. The Titans have one weapon, and that
Queen
one weapon
Henry.
is the running back. And they
have more than that now.
Well,
they got?
But they got nobody throwing them the ball. Tannehill is not the guy, and so. But the Steelers are way better than the Titans.
Yeah, and their defense really hasn't performed as it was last year, and they're bound
That's
to
true.
be
That's true.
clicking again, so they'll be a lot
see,
better.
you could say that about the Titans too, though. You could say their defense hasn't clicked as of yet. You know, they just signed Clowney, which is kind of overrated, I think.
So the Titans' defense last year was their offense, keeping the offensive teams off of the field. That's why their defense excelled so much last year.
I agree.
And then at number 4, he did have the Baltimore Ravens. I think
they're
overrated.
I think so too. I think that's where the Bucs should be.
I think that's where the Seahawks should be.
Or Seahawks.
Yeah.
Either or. I just think both the Seahawks and the Bucs should be in the top 5. That's
Combs,
my opinion.
Are you saying there's another AFC team that you'd have in the top 4 here?
In the top 4, yeah.
Which is the Buffalo Bills?
Buffalo Bills.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
People are saying this team is overhyped, overrated. They were 10-6 last year, and they had a wild card game. They're simply because they were in the Patriots. The Josh Allen's playing an MVP caliber level. The Bills are fine right where they're at. Then they had the Packers at number 2. No argument there. I don't think. Maybe
I might put the Packers at number 1 and put Kansas City at number 2. I might even put the Packers at 1 and put Buffalo 2. And Seahawks 3, and then maybe Kansas City, and then maybe Bucs.
I like Buffalo. I think Buffalo's for real. I think Buffalo could give Kansas City fits even because I think Josh Allen is the real deal. I think
find that out in 2 weeks.
That front seven, that defensive front seven for the Buffalo Bills is the best in football right now. And I would put them up with anybody in the league. However, the Packers are scoring at an unbelievable clip. The Kansas City Chiefs are that team that can go in and just play with you. in every facet of the game, and they score at will. So I'm comfortable with where he had his top three. I think that's about all I agreed with.
See, I would flip
top
it
three.
because I don't think the Chiefs' defense is better than the Packers. Not at this moment.
Right.
I think the Packers' defense is playing lights out. Probably the best it's been in since the Super Bowl, maybe. And it
I
wasn't
would
even
love to see
great then.
Kansas City and Green Bay go at it. To be honest.
Yeah. I think I would. My opinion, I would have Packers, and then I would have probably Buffalo, and then I'd probably have the Seahawks, and then the Chiefs, and then the Buccaneers. That would be my five.
Yeah, I would
Which
have
I
the
think is a
Seahawks at number
formidable
one.
good five, but yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's good too.
I mean, like really, I think the top three here are all kind of interchangeable a little bit. And if you throw in the Seahawks in their lock as well, they'll be a great 1B type pick there.
How many of these top 10 teams do you all think makes the playoffs? 6 of them?
I would say the Chiefs, Packers, Bills, Steelers. Right there's 4.
The
Saints.
Ravens will make the playoffs.
Ravens.
Yeah,
They'll be a wild card.
Ravens, Seahawks, and
Buccaneers.
Bucks. So
Yeah.
So 8,
probably
7 or
8 of the 10.
7 or 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Browns will stumble. They always find new ways to lose. The Rams I still think they're going to be a 5-12 team. This season or five.
But that's
five,
a new,
5-11.
that's a new Cleveland team, though, man.
Yeah.
You see Cleveland stumble, but you don't see Cleveland play teams the way that they played Dallas this last Sunday. So
They
I think
manhandled
do it again.
Dallas.
I want to see them do it again this week to the Colts, and if they can do it again and put it together back to back, they might make a believer out of me and think that they're actually a contender as opposed to a pretender.
So
That's another team, the Colts. They're not in there, and I think they should be in there.
yeah,
They're the
I
best
mean,
defense in the NFL right now, and they're playing great.
Yeah,
but their
so
offense
just to add to your point there,
Suspect, yeah,
Coombs.
yeah.
Just to add to your point there, Coombs. I don't think the Browns are a horrible team by any stretch of the imagination. It's just the AFC is a stacked house division. I think you're going to have 9 to 10 wins to get into the playoffs this season, even as the 7th seed. You know, so it is.
I think the Colts could be in there over the Rams. That's my I think so. I think the Colts could be over the Rams.
Yeah,
You could
I'm
take
not
the
a
Colts
believer
and the
in the
Browns, and you could take Cleveland and Indianapolis, in my opinion, and put them at 9-10 either slot. And that'd be
we'll find out this Sunday when they battle
the
out
Rams.
in Indy. So I think the winner of that game should probably slide into the top 10.
Agreed.
Now, if the Colts beat the Browns and the Browns are still in the top 10, the Colts are not, I'm calling BS on Benz's top 10.
I want to
rankings.
know who decided that Benzie was going to be the power rankings guy, because he clearly has no clue what he's doing.
I mean, who decided to make you the Major League Baseball power ranking guy?
Boom.
I know what I'm doing, though.
Do you? Do you? Because both Chicago teams are out, and my Yankees are still alive. The A's are still alive.
I picked that
The
one with my
Dodgers
heart,
still
though.
alive.
I ain't gonna lie. I picked that one.
I
with
know,
my
I
heart.
do. You know what? I wanted to pick the Yankees with my heart, and I got to tell you, I almost picked them over the A's because I'm a Yankees fan, and they're really swinging the bats pretty well, with the exception of last night. They kind of were cold. They got out hit. Is Tampa Bay going to out hit them every game of the series? I don't know. Not too many teams will, but I just thought the A's were a better pick than the Yankees, and they're playing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk some COVID stuff, what is happening in the NFL world. We're going to postpone the what does, because we do everything postponed in the 2020, right? So, guys, we'll be right back right after the quick little break.
Cool.
And welcome back to the Mike and Mike Man. All right, guys, Michael Buckhouse here with live, raw, uncut sports talk on the Wednesday edition with Coach Tip and Brandon Coombs from PSS Sports. Brandon Coombs is the other half of the Man Hour After Dark, and Coombs, I'm getting kind of excited about the After Dark that's getting ready to happen, man.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to tell you how much the Chiefs suck and how much everything in Kansas City sucks except for the barbecue. And
I can't wait to tell you how wrong you are about everything, but the barbecue. I mean, the barbecue is pretty fire.
You do realize that Kansas City is only, what are they, 3 or 4 years or even less from a World Series victory, trophy. So
2015.
Yeah. So, I mean, they went downhill pretty quick. I don't understand that.
Well, do you want to know what happened? Everybody's
Traded
contract
off.
was up
free
at
agent.
the end of that season. Hosmer went to the Padres.
Zobrist went to the Cubs.
Kane went to the Brewers.
I don't think I've ever seen
Reds.
in all my years. I don't think I've ever seen a World Series team fall off that quick. Like
Zobrist
that.
went to the Cubs and won the World Series MVP the next year.
Yeah, the next year. So
Yeah. Well, and we also picked up.
he was clutch, by the way, that year.
He was
really clutch.
I mean, and we also picked up Johnny Cueto in free agent that year, which he led us to the MVP or to the World Series, and he jumped ship. So I mean, it's kind of what happens like when you build a farm team, and you're on 6-year contracts, but it takes 5 years to get to the World Series. So I mean, it is but we're building back. I mean, Alex Gordon just retired, so I mean we got a big hole to fill out there. Not really. He was aging pretty good, but nonetheless, we'll get back there. I bet you we win the World Series before the Cubs do again.
There's a bet right there. That's you can't Combs, you can't do it, buddy. You can't let him get by with that, and you got to come back with something, man. Come on now, that right there's a challenge.
Kansas City won't even win a World Series before the Cubs repeat as champions again.
Okay.
Wow.
We'll write it down. October 7th, 2020. So by the age I am, probably by the time I'm 60, we'll still be having this conversation because neither of us will be in the World Series by that point.
Hey, can I give a shout out real quick? Just
Definitely.
real quick. I want to shout out to my little man Bricks. My little boy is 20 months old today. And I
Here
just
we
want to
go.
say happy birthday, buddy. Love you, man.
20 months.
20 months. 20 months. 20 months.
It is
sound
all
like a lot,
downhill
but
now.
man, it goes quick, buddy. It goes
Too quick.
too
Yeah,
quick. You're right.
Coombs, you just got a son that just turned 15, right? Was it 15 or 16?
Yeah, so I've got an 18-year-old daughter, a 16-year-old son, a 15-year-old son, an 8, a 4, and a 3-year-old son.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. That's
My
like
pull-out game is
getting
weak.
down with the get down. My man. Yeah, ain't no stopping Combs. Yes, sir. My man.
He just looks in that direction. Poof,
Yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah, I offered a girl a glass of water one time, and then 9 months later she had a baby. I don't know what happened.
My wife told me last night, she told me to shut that mess down or she was going to get pregnant right then and there. And I was like, nah, I got quiet real quick.
Yeah,
Quiet real
yeah,
quick. She
that
said,
ain't
I'll get
happening.
pregnant on you right now if you don't mess around, be quiet. I said, all right, I'm done, honey.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is the man hour, and we talk about anything we want here. So, Cindy wants me to get a vasectomy, right? And I
got one.
I've been YouTubing it.
Don't do it, bro.
There's
Don't do it.
freaking fire coming out from
Yeah.
the cloth. I'm like, what in the world
Yeah.
is going on?
No, don't
Yeah,
do it. Don't do
they're
it.
doing the
Don't do it.
soldering thing, and the worst part is that all right. So I've had a vasectomy and a colonoscopy. They knock you out for the colonoscopy.
Mhm.
Right.
They don't knock you out for the vasectomy. Like, they make you watch. They're like, look, this is you made us do this. This is what happens when you have too many kids. Look at this right here. This is what happens, and we're
That's a blessing, though, man. All those kids. That's a blessing. That's
It
a
is. But
Yeah. most days.
I try to be a man of faith, and it does say that a man that has a bunch of arrows in his quiver is blessed. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good, man. 6 kids is a blessing. You're almost ready to catch.
I guess the Bible
Phillip
never heard of
Rivers.
child support.
No. Trust in the Lord, my brother. Trust in the Lord for that. That's right. That's right.
and on that note, guys, let's go
You're
ahead
almost
and
ready
jump.
to catch Phillip Rivers, who's got like 14 or something.
So funny story about that. Every time Phillip Rivers has lost to Tom Brady, he has a kid for each one of those losses.
Oh,
So
Jesus Christ.
just no, I mean that's a true story.
His
He
wife
is-
at home looking at the TV. Well, I guess I'll get ready for Phil. He's on his way.
Yeah,
Time to get another one. Woo. Man.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get back on track here as the Week 5 NFL schedule is upon us here. We have games tomorrow and Sunday. Obviously, will hopefully COVID-19 is taking its course through the NFL again. Stephon Gilmore for the Patriots had tested positive for the New England Patriots. He has been ruled out for the upcoming season. 2 more Titans players have tested positive after a string of negative tests, and some Raiders players are testing positive for COVID-19 as well. With like all that being said, and facilities getting shut down and people missing games, missing practices, the Miami Dolphins say, hey, we are going to open up our stadium full capacity, let all 65,000 people into Hard Rock Stadium Cafe or Hard Rock Cafe Stadium. I should say, Coombs, I'm going to let you take the floor first here. What is going on with COVID-19 in the NFL, and should we be worried about negative tests? Should we worry, or sorry, false positive tests? I should say, and should we start curious of what's going on in Miami?
The NFL dropped the ball here. They absolutely dropped the ball. They did not have a good game plan for this. What they did with the New England Kansas City game was atrocious. And now you look at Stephon Gilmore getting it, and at the end of the game you see photos of him, face to face talking with Patty Mahomes. And look, they dropped the ball. I think what we're leading here to, and I said this earlier, I think you're leading to a shutdown. The NFL is going to shut down at some point. It might only be for a month so that they can quarantine everybody and come up with a game plan. But they are definitely going to end up shutting down because they had no plan in place. They dropped the ball. They should have touched base with MLB and figured out how they got through theirs, but they didn't do anything. And it's really, to me, what they did with the Patriots is actually a joke. I mean, if you're that worried about COVID and you're that worried about player safety, you took a guy, Cam Newton, they say, oh, well, you've only had 1 positive COVID test. Well, CDC regulations tells you if you come in contact with somebody who's had COVID, you need to quarantine for 10 to 14 days. And so they say, well, some of these players weren't in contact. No, but he's in contact with the coaching staff, who's in contact with the coordinators, who's in contact with all the other players. So you've had contact with them in one form or the other. They needed to shut that down, and they decided to move it from Sunday to Monday, which was stupid to me to begin with, because you could have just played that game on Sunday if you were moving it to Monday anyway. So it was a money grab by the NFL. They went for it, and it's going to blow up in their face, and they're going to end up having to shut down.
Tip, go ahead.
Without being political and without my faith coming into play here, I'm going to say it's just all a bunch of garbage. I just think the whole thing is a bunch of garbage. I think when I have to wear a mask to go into a Thornton's or a Home Depot or whatever, I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't like it. I think we should all be able to police ourselves, and what happens. It's a lot of people's not going to agree with this, but I just think this has gone on way too long. We knew as fans, we knew we weren't so dumb to think, or so naive to think that as fans that this season was not going to be washed due to this COVID crap. There was no way it wasn't going to happen. There was no way that there was not going to be a single positive test. So now what happens is now you're going to have more and more positive tests show up. Eventually what's going to happen is they're going to get so scrambled with trying to replay games, rework the schedule, get games in on time for playoffs. Are you going to shorten the season? Now, how does that affect other teams? The whole thing is just the NFL has been a dumpster fire for a while now. There's been a lot going on in the NFL for the past, 3-4 years, maybe 5 somewhere in that range. So the NFL has a lot of work to do to straighten this deal out. I'm not even sure how they do it. I'm a tear down, rebuild from scratch type guy. So my thing is, I think the only way to deal with this is exactly what Combs said. You got to shut the whole deal down for at least maybe a month. During that month, you have to scramble and work this schedule out and say, okay, we're going to have to reset the bye weeks. We're going to have to shorten the schedule to make it fair for all teams, mainly playoff-bound teams or teams that have a chance, not for the Cincinnati Bengals or not for the Chicago Bears. I mean, somebody else. But anyway, that was a sarcastic joke there. But you're going to have to make it fair for the playoff-bound teams that have chances to make playoffs, good chances. I'm not talking about an outside chance like Cleveland. I'm talking about a good chance. You can almost pencil them in to make the playoffs. So now you take a month off. You can't possibly get 12 more games in 2 months or less.
I think we're looking at a March or an April Super Bowl.
It's very possible. Everything else got moved up. I mean, they're showing advertisements now. How weird is this? When have you ever in your life seen a commercial for the Masters in November?
Right.
I mean, really, so they're moving everything up, and I think the only thing you can do is shut it down, let everybody get their self gathered, their health or whatever, and then start it back up. But when you start it back up, you got to have a game plan and say, okay, the season is automatically shortened. The playoffs have to differ and everything, because if you go into March or April, now you're interfering with college basketball if that happens. Now you're in March Madness if that happens. So the whole thing is just the NFL is just I think it's the head. I think the body goes as the leader, as the head goes, and the leadership in the NFL with all the way from the top with Goodell and all the way down is just atrocious. And something has to be done, and I'm not really sure what you do, but just shut it down and start over, start from scratch.
Okay, so let me go ahead and poke some holes into what you're saying here. First things first, the whole March Madness thing. The NFL could care less about the March Madness. Let's be honest. I mean, the
March Madness will rival the NFL playoffs in rankings for that month. For that month, it will definitely from the conference playoffs, if they have conference tournaments, to the actual double NCAA tournament for that month. I believe that the March Madness would rival.
If they even have it again.
If they even have it, but I believe if they're both happening, I believe it would rival the NFL playoffs.
You are talking out your butt, and you know that 100%.
No.
You are a UK fan, and you are a Miami Dolphins fan.
I am a Dolphins fan.
If the Miami Dolphins are in the playoffs and UK is playing in a second round game versus Kansas State, which game are you going to watch?
I'm gonna watch both because I've got DVR.
See, no, you have to pick one. What game are you going to watch?
I'm gonna watch the Kentucky game later, commercial free. That's what I'm gonna do.
So what you're saying is you will. So what you're saying is you are picking the NFL.
I would probably myself pick the Dolphins game, but
exactly.
It wouldn't be because of football over basketball. Because I coach basketball, so basketball is kind of my sport. It would be because the Dolphins are in the playoffs, and I don't get to see that very often.
Hey, Tip, that was a trick question because he said Dolphins and playoffs in the same sentence.
Okay. See,
now,
good catch.
Now
that's why I would watch it.
Now let me poke another hole in this.
I don't think many people would watch Kentucky and a good team in the tournament over Miami and Cleveland in the playoffs. I don't think that would happen.
Okay, Coombs, you are a sports nut here. Would you watch Duke UNC in a Elite Eight game over your Chicago Bears in a conference championship game?
I wouldn't watch Duke UNC in the finals over Chicago Bears in the playoff, or if you're talking about any playoff game, I'd watch the NFL playoff game before I'm watching college basketball. I'll catch the highlights.
Yeah. I just think it's people's preference.
And I love March Madness. Look, I put a lot of money on March Madness. I fill out a bracket every year, but look, the NFL or March Madness, it's an easy decision for me.
Right.
I don't know.
And then so moving on to my next point here, people have saying, why haven't the NFL isolated themselves like Major League or like the NBA did, like Major League postseason is doing right now?
Do you know how many people that would be?
Yeah.
What you guys don't understand is the facilities are not in like the heart of downtown New York or downtown Dallas. They are out on the outskirts. Like you are driving through a cornfield and all of a sudden like, oh, wow, there's the New York Jets football stadium, right? That's just the way it is. I mean, they are already isolated as is. What these players are doing and how they're getting COVID, to be honest, is after the games, they're going to a club. They want to have a drink after the game. They are going out to eat. They're doing this, and this. We said it earlier in the season. The NFL players, if they want to survive the season, they have to be selfish. You cannot go out and have a drink. You cannot go out to dinner. You need to go to practice and you need to go right back home.
You have to quarantine
yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
100%. So people are saying, how does the NFL fix this? Yada yada yada. The NFL really can't fix this. They've already told players to say, hey, This is what you need to do to have a successful season. The players are not listening. So what are you going to do? Maybe start issuing fines if you get the COVID.
But that's just it, though. That's just it, man. You can't do that to people. You can't tell a grown ass man after he's worked 3 hours battling another 600-pound guy. You can't tell him he can't go out and get him a steak and a beer after the game.
They are telling you that you got to wear a mask everywhere you go. Yes, they can.
They can tell you whatever they want, but he is a grown man. They have the right to do what they want to do.
You're right. He does have the right to do whatever he wants, but if he wants to play next week,
but you can't fine him for their God-given right. Yeah, you can do that. You can suspend him.
Grown-ass man who just worked 3 hours.
Yeah.
I would kill to work 3 hours.
I know, but what I'm saying is he's put in 3 hours battling another 600-pound man. They've been going at it for 3 hours. And then you're going to tell him after the game, okay, you have to go sit in a motel room. You have to go do this. You have to go do that.
I'm not saying go sit in a motel room. I'm saying go home and have your teammates over at
but you can't fine him. It's not right to fine them because they didn't do that. Are you serious? So if I go out here right now,
if it is in your contract saying you have to go home after the game and you don't do that, you are getting fined.
Where is it in anybody's contract to do that?
How about this? Patrick Mahomes got fined $10,000 last season for playing basketball in the off season. Basketball. Shooting hoops.
I just don't agree with that. I understand the contract there. It's the same thing.
What is the difference?
It's the same thing with Jason Williams. Remember when he from Duke, he got drafted by the Bulls and he went out and rode a motorcycle. It was in his contract not to be doing that stuff.
Was that before or after he shot the guy?
I don't really remember that. No, not that Jason Williams. That was the guy for the Nets. I'm talking about the one from Duke.
I know. I'm just playing.
He's the comment. Okay.
What do you do for work?
I do outside. I work for myself. I'm
okay. So you work for yourself, but if you worked for a company and you went out and you got a DUI, should the company not, and you say you drive for the company, okay? You're a driver for the company. Should the company not have any say in whether or not you're fired or you're suspended for having that DUI?
Well, sure they can. But that's different.
How's it different?
Because you went out and broke the law. And you drive for them, and you broke the law doing something that actually is what you do for them, which you're not supposed to do. But it's not breaking the law because you go work and then you go. No, man, no. When I get off of work of a day, if I work for a company and that company says, Tip, if you go out and you have a beer after work, or you go out and get a burger from McDonald's after work. You can't do that. That's against our rules. We're going to fire you or we're going to fine you. Are you serious? Are you really serious about it? No, you can't.
You're an owner of an NFL team, and you just gave Patrick Mahomes $400 million.
No, I don't care. He's still a man, and he still has his own mind and his own way.
He was to go home after he plays for 4 months of a year. For 4 months after work, just go home. Just until we figure all this stuff out with COVID, we don't want you getting sick. We pay you a lot of money to do this. Just go home after the games. And then once the season's over, go do whatever you want. And then once the season starts again, we've got the right to say, hey, look, this is where we're at. And we want the season to happen. And so this is what we're asking you to do. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be a fine. Because if you're costing us money, that's what it is. It's a business, man.
So Fauci gets on there and says wear a mask, and then you see him sitting in the baseball stands without a mask next to a couple of people watching the ball game. So that's what we're supposed to do here. We're just supposed to say, okay, the man said we're supposed to do this. If we don't do this, we're going to get fined, and we're going to lose our job, and blah blah blah. Come on, man. That's not right. In the COVID. You can only take a man. You can't take a man's right away to be a man.
If you can't play, you should have just let Cam Newton play. He was asymptomatic.
Well, I don't agree with that, but I'm saying just because you pay a man $500 million doesn't mean you own his life.
You do own his life.
Well, that's because the $500 million. That's because that's what the world says. The world says I own you because I pay you. But that's not really the way it is. The man has his own choice, and because he chooses to go out and get something to eat, or what if he wants to take his family? What if it's his kid's birthday and he wants to take him out for pizza?
You can choose.
You're gonna fine him. You're gonna fine him $100,000 for taking his kid out for pizza. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, guys.
like tip, like put yourself in this situation. You are a business owner. You have an employee that you have to get this job done by the end of the week. He goes out and gets drunk 3 nights in a row and has a massive hangover, and you miss your Friday deadline. Do you have the right to fire him or fine him for not getting that job done when he knew he had to get the thing done by the end of the week?
I suppose that I do, but that doesn't mean I would.
Well,
That-
I'm not saying
I
that
don't know.
you would,
I don't
but
know necessarily. I'm just saying I'm one of those people that I've always swam upstream. I've always gone against the grain,
Right.
and I've never really been somebody who says, okay, just because you're this or you don't own me.
But
I'm a
we're-
grown ass man. I'm a
not
grown
saying that you
man
have-
here.
We're not saying
Grown
that
man.
choices, but for every action, there's a
That,
positive
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't
There's
disagree with that at all.
that goes along to that. So if you make the choice to go out to the club, that's great. But now you contracted COVID, and now you brought it to the team, and now we're out for 2 or 3 weeks, and we can't play because you made a choice to go out. So there's got to be a consequence for that.
Okay, then you just don't let him play. Then don't pay him his money for the games. But I don't know
Right,
that you
that's a
don't
fine, right?
But,
Yeah,
but that's not a fine. That's
Yeah,
not
it
a
is.
fine. No, it ain't. If I miss a day of work and I don't get paid for that day, that's not fining me for that day. That's just not paying me for that day because I didn't work that day.
I mean, I guess that's potato. Right?
yeah,
But
I mean, that's not a fine. A fine is different. A fine is something that's added extra onto whatever.
Right,
So
you're
if I make
paying
$500,000 a year and they give me $100,000 fine and I pay $100,000 in taxes, that's not a fine. That's what I paid on what I owed. But if they say, okay, if the IRS comes back and says, okay, now you've got these penalties for not paying this and blah, blah, blah. Now that's a fine. So it's a different deal here, man. I'm just saying that if a grown man, just because you make $500 million does not mean that a person owns you. The money says that it does, and that person will have the ego and arrogance enough to say that they own you. And by rights, work-wise, they own you because you can't go anywhere else. But to say that I can't go out afterwards and take my kid out for pizza if it's the birthday or because I told him I'd spend some time with him, or I can't take my wife out because it's our anniversary, or I can't even go out and get a burger and a beer, man, you got me confused. You got me real confused.
Then you are in the wrong business because the NBA just did it for 4 months or whatever it was.
Okay.
Very, very successfully. And what they do, they isolated themselves. They did not go out to eat. They didn't see their family for 3 months, right? I mean, what is the difference between the NBA putting them in a bubble to complete the season and me as a NFL owner?
To me, I look at it as you sold your soul. You said, okay, I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do.
So you are saying the NFL players are selling their soul to the NFL owners
to an
to do whatever
extent,
in
if
4
you're-
months.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
matters.
matter. Is it worth every man has his dignity.
Let me ask you
And
this.
I can't see myself selling myself like that.
Let me ask you this. The Tennessee Titans now have 3 more positive cases on their team. They are probably going to forfeit this week's game. When they forfeit this week's game, they're going to lose roughly $18 million in TV deals and people in the stands, etc. Right? They're going to lose $18 million because 3 or 4 players decided to go out to a club and they got COVID, therefore costing me $18 million. If those players would have just went home and not done something stupid, I would have had that $18 million in my pocket and able to pay
There you
your
go.
salary.
You just answered my
but
if you hadn't done that, you screwed up my $18 million.
Okay,
You messed
but
with my money.
listen.
So therefore, I'm putting my money before your dignity.
No, I am putting your salary because I don't have the $18 million now to pay your salary.
Salary's good. Salary I can deal with. If you took my salary and you didn't pay me for the day because I didn't work, I'm good with that. But you can't it's not right to fine me on top of that because I chose to be. This is
You
America.
brought COVID
This
into
is
my
America.
workplace
But
and
there
got
is-
everybody else COVID, and now I lost
You
$18
can
million
get
and I
COVID
can't
from
pay
going to the
anybody.
grocery store and picking up something off a shelf. A mask doesn't even cure. It doesn't keep COVID at bay. Okay, you can get
doesn't.
COVID. They can walk in their motel rooms or wherever they're staying, and they can get COVID.
You're 100% right. We're
So,
right on that.
I mean, so you can't really say, okay, well, because you went to a bar, you're getting fined because you got COVID, but you got COVID by just, I don't know, maybe the house cleaner had COVID and they spread it around your room and you got it when you went into the motel room.
It's
or you
different.
got it when you picked up the bag of cereal a box of cereal off the counter or off the shelf. You can't distinguish that, man. COVID is COVID. And it's going to be what it's going to be. So I understand your all's points that, okay, you put us in a bind, but I'm not sure you can find a man for being a man.
Coombs, final thoughts.
Man's got his own mind.
Coombs, final thoughts.
Look, man,
I don't let the money run me. I run the money. That's
right,
the way I look at it.
The NFL, I mean, it's a different thing. It's
You're right.
a business, and they're trying to run a business, and they're trying to, create. They've got to have people watching. They've got to have this, and in order for that to happen, you have to have your stars playing. You have
fair
to
enough. That's fair enough.
and you have to have that, and that's what you pay these guys for, and that's why you pay them so well. So you ask them to do what you need them to do, and if they can't do that, you have to have some sort of repercussions for it. Whether you say it's a fine,
You just don't let them play, and you don't give them their game money.
Yeah, so go home without pay. That's fine. To me, that's the same thing as a fine because you're taking money out of his pocket. But
no, you're taking money out of your own because you made that choice to go home without the pay.
Right, but it's still,
yeah,
I mean, so it is what
again,
it is.
it goes back to self-quarantining.
Yeah, I think you're going to end up losing a month of the NFL season.
I think you're right.
I think it is.
I think if the
This is a
NFL
good
shuts
heated
down,
argument.
we will not see it for the rest of the year.
I think you're right. That's what I've been saying all along. Remember, I told you within 2 weeks they'd shut it down. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we are going to quickly transition gears here. We have about 5-10 minutes left of the show here, and with the NFL season now a quarter of the way over here, there's been surprises in the NFL. There haven't been some surprises in the NFL. Let's go ahead and quickly pick the division winners moving forward here, and start off with the AFC East. Coombs, who do you got winning the AFC East moving forward?
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. Tip, who do you got?
Bills.
I got the New England Patriots. I just don't think the Bills are quite there yet, and the Patriots been there, done that type of thing. AFC North, Coombs.
I'm going to go with the Steelers.
There you go. Good pick.
It's kind of the only pick, in all honesty.
You're going with the Steelers too?
Yeah, I don't think Cleveland's ready, and Cincinnati's not going to be there. And Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore is quite as well-rounded as Pittsburgh, so I'll take the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the Ravens win this one by default. They have an easier schedule than the Steelers moving forward. AFC South, Coombs, you got?
I'm going with the Titans.
Wrong.
I'm kind of torn here between the Titans and the Colts, and just for the simple fact that we don't know what's going to happen with the Titans' schedule. So
you going with Colts?
If the season was typical like every year it has been, I'd go with the Titans. But because of everything going on, I could see the Colts winning this.
That's kind of cute. You guys have the three of the same picks, and they're all three wrong. And the correct answer here is the Indianapolis Colts. They will win that division moving forward. AFC West, you got?
Oh, that's a tough one. Chiefs.
Chiefs. I mean,
yeah.
No.
It is the Chiefs. I mean, that is the correct answer. Good job, guys. You guys got one right. NFC East, the wins or they have-nots.
Can we just keep it moving from this one? Just skip this one. I mean,
I think the Cowboys just by default, even though I think Washington can't give them a run for their money based on the schedule.
Yep.
I do a process of elimination. I don't think the Giants are going to be there. Philly's a mess right now. I kind of agree with Coombs that Washington has a chance, but I'm going to go by default and say the Cowboys just because of the way they look on paper, and it's possible they could get it together.
The Cowboys will get it together, and I'm going to pick the winner of the next week's game versus the Giants of the Cowboys because I think the winner of that game will win the divisions, and I think it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys moving forward.
With the G-men.
I'm going with the Cowboys. The NFC North.
They're going to have their best game of the season.
The Packers win this division. The Packers they're the best team in the NFC right now. I don't see them down, and the Bears will be second.
Well, hang on. Are they the second best team or the best team in the NFC?
They're the best team in the NFC.
Figure it out because earlier you said the second best team.
No, I did not. I said the Seahawks were the second best team.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
I tried to.
I got your back, Holmes. I was listening, brother. I was listening.
Tip, who do you got?
You got to go Pack. You can't even. I will say this though. I think Detroit's going to finish ahead of Chicago.
No,
There we go.
No,
I'm still riding with my pick in the offseason. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. They've had 14 to 17 point leads in every one of their games. Yes, they've lost, but they'll get it together.
Just lost us.
But yeah, Detroit Lions are going to win that.
Do you help
NFC
Glenn
South.
put together his power rankings too? Is that what?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Are
Lions
you
would
sipping
be a
back on
10.
Grandpa's cough syrup or something?
Yeah.
You know.
NFC South, Coombs, who do you got?
NFC South is that one's wide open too.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't think so? I think
Saints.
Tampa's going to win it, but Saints could give them a run. But I think Tampa's going to win that one.
Agreed.
And I'm going with the Saints. And the final, last but not least, the NFC South, quite arguably the hardest division in all of football right now. Who do you got?
You mean the West?
Yeah, NFC West, my bad.
Man, I just think the Seahawks are too good to lose that division, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
don't
all
think Arizona's ready yet, and I think by the time San Fran gets back, if Seattle keeps winning, it's kind of a. And I like you said, the Rams they may fade out. You never know what they're going to do.
I know
But
we
think the Rams could be a playoff team.
I know we postponed the what does, but I have to give you this one only because it happened on this date, right?
Okay, give it to me.
My what the was back in 1916. Georgia Tech beat Cumberland 222-0. Cumberland had negative 46 rushing yards, 15 turnovers. Georgia Tech had 0 pass attempts, 32 rushing touchdowns, and 978 rushing yards. What the?
Wow.
Is this school in Cumberland, Tennessee, like the Cumberland Falls?
I have no. I think the Cumberland gas station is who they were playing against.
Wow.
Wait, so that was in 1916?
October 7th, 1916.
That still has to be,
220 points.
222-0.
that still has to be the biggest deficit of all, I'm sure.
Yeah, somebody
has to
joked around on Facebook and said, "I bet you that the over/under was 224.5."
Hey, quick question here. Would you rather lose on a football game 222-0 or get beat in a basketball game 104-3?
I'd rather not lose either. I'd probably walk out before either of them are over. I don't know, man. I'd take the basketball loss, I think.
I think in a basketball loss, because one person can like easily change a game one way or the other for like a basketball team to get that ahead. And football, it just takes 11 people just to flat out suck to get beat that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Not to mention in football for 220 points and all that time, you're out there just getting the hell beat out of you.
Right.
Yeah. At
least you can kind of walk up and down the court and not get touched.
978 rushing yards and 32 rushing touchdowns. Like how? Like at one point you just hand the ball and they what did they do? Did they all just like fall over and
the Red Sea parted, brother? The Red Sea parted.
I think the other team just didn't show up. Like
that was Moses running the ball.
Quarterback showed up. And that was it. And he threw 6 interceptions, and then they had 9 fumbles. But he was the only guy on the field. They were playing 11-on-1.
Jeez,
wow.
That's just ridiculous. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's show. It got a little heated, but that's what the Man Hour is all about, guys.
Yeah, it's cool. Good stuff.
So tune us in tomorrow, 1 p.m. East Coast time, right here on the YouTube channel. And don't forget, After Dark coming next Monday, 10 p.m. East Coast time with Coombs and myself. Catch you guys tomorrow, guys. Have a good night.
Later.
Later.